Hi, I'm Alex, and in this video I'm going to talk about my top 5 cycling everyday carry tech. So about a year ago I took up cycling and I absolutely love technology, and for me having technology on my ride really helps enhance my cycling experience. However, when you're riding, weight is really important, so you don't want to add too much technology when you're going out on a ride, because it's that fine balance of detracting from the ride and at the same time having tech around you, or for me, tech around me that improves my riding experience. So I've created a list of these items. I'm going to do them in reverse decreasing order of importance to me, in the sense that number 1 is the most important, number 5 being the least important. And although I really like the technology and the brands I've got in front of me, this is just maybe to give you an idea of different things that might work for you. You don't necessarily need to be brand specific. So with that in mind, on with the video. So at number 5 is the Garmin Rally pedals. Now these are the most recent addition to my cycling everyday carry, and I suppose they differ to every other item in the sense that they're normally on my bike and I don't have to pick them up and put them on. However, I just want to talk about why I've got them and why I'm including them in this video. First of all, the why I got them is I developed a cycling injury because when I was cycling, I started without realizing to ride imbalanced. My power was coming too much from my right leg, and this caused me an injury. Actually, while I was walking, I discovered that my cycling was completely unbalanced, which came actually as a shock to me. And I got the Garmin Rally pedals, not so much to measure my power, but actually to measure my balance. Now that's become a really important part, of in the first place, fixing my injury, but also just getting that extra data. Now these weigh about 320 grams. Now to put that into context, an equivalent pair of Shimano 105 pedals weigh about 55 grams less. Now, I need these from my perspective to make sure I don't get that imbalance again, and I don't think 55 grams is that much. Now, why I've included them in the everyday carry is because they're pedals as opposed to built into a bike. You can put these on any bike, so they are transferable. You can actually use the Garmin Rally pedals to switch the bodies, although that comes at an additional cost. And I just find them a really flexible, really good addition to my cycling everyday carry. Now they are about £900 retail for these dual-sided ones. They are really quite expensive. You can get different power meter pedals, and I think if money was more of a concern, I probably wouldn't have gone for the Rally pedals. But notwithstanding that, actually talking to a lot of cyclists, I know a lot of people can suffer with imbalances while cycling, and I think having a power meter on your bike to track the balance is a really important way of just making sure that something that could cause an injury doesn't affect you at any point. So next up is the phone. In this case, it's the Google Pixel 4a. Now this is really important because this isn't my everyday carry phone. My everyday carry phone is the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3, which I absolutely love, but I find really inappropriate for cycling. I'd show you that now as a comparison, but I am using that as part of my filming process. In fact, it's filming my overhead video. And that phone is very expensive. I think it costs, well over £1,000. It weighs about 271 grams versus this, which I think is about 140 something grams, and it costs £250. And what I found was when I was out cycling, I think I might have taken the Samsung with me once or twice, but I'm very conscious of that phone. If it gets damaged, replacing it is very expensive. You can feel the weight of that phone. It's a very heavy phone, and it's not something I really enjoyed cycling with. I didn't really need it. For me, the phone is a backup. If I need to make a phone call, if I needed to get an Uber or something like that, I can use it to pay, but I'm not using this very much on a ride, Yes, it's nice to take a photo every now and again, but this really is designed to be light, in my back pocket, and out of sight, out of mind. And this is something that this small phone allows me to do, whereas my real everyday carry phone doesn't. Now, from a practical perspective, I'm talking about phones. One thing to mention is SIM cards. Now, I can easily enough switch the SIM card from my Samsung into this Google Pixel, but I just want this to be pick up, everyday carry, go out, not think about it. So I've got a cheap SIM card in this because I really don't use that much data on it, just so that I can pick it up. I don't need to switch the SIMs over, and that's how I've sorted out my phone. And I've been really impressed with this as a 2-year-old mid-range phone. I think it would really frustrate me if this was my everyday phone. It's a bit slow, but as I say, for what I'm using it for, it's absolutely perfect and so much better than a bigger, heavier, more expensive phone. And number 3 in the list is headphones. Now, of all of the items here, I think that this is probably the most controversial item because a lot of people won't ride with headphones. And it's really important to say, I agree with those people in the sense that I wouldn't put any in-ear or certainly over-ear headphones on. And I have seen people riding with that. That seems dangerous. You're blocking off noises, and it is really important that you hear. However, these technically, they say aftershocks on them. They're the Aftershocks Aeropex. However, since I've bought these, Aftershocks have changed their name to Shocks. I think they've changed these over to the Open Runs, and they've brought out another headphone, and I've done an unboxing and short review of that. I'll leave that in the description below, called the Open Run Pros. Now, personally, I still prefer these, certainly for the money, and certainly as I've already got them. They weigh about 26 grams, but they work differently. I'll just put them on here. They work differently to most other headphones, or almost all of the headphones, in the sense that they're bone conducting technology. So it leaves my ear completely open. I can hear just as well now as I could do before I put them on. They're really light. I think they weigh about 26 grams. Yes, I can feel that I've got them on, but after a few minutes, I completely forget I've got them on. If I put a helmet on, they're right at the bottom there, so they don't interfere. I can wear a helmet very happily, a hat very happily, and keep them on. And they just allow me to play some music on lightly, not really distract me from my surroundings, but just make the experience more pleasurable for me. The battery life on them is phenomenal. I mean, I've never run out of battery. It's several hours, if not 10 plus hours. And even on a long ride, you're not normally listening to music constantly. I think they're absolutely brilliant. And I'd highly recommend a pair of bone conducting, in fact, a pair of Shocks headphones. I think they're the market leader in this field. They really enhance a riding experience for me. They really blend into the background, so much so I was on a group ride just this weekend. I don't normally listen to music at all on a group ride, but I was riding by myself for quite a while, had some music on, someone came alongside me, I was talking for about 5 minutes. It took me about 5 minutes to realise that I still had music playing on these, which is how much they just blend into the background. So there you go, number 3, the Shocks headphones. Now, number 2 is the bike computer. Specifically, the bike computer I've chosen is the Hammerhead Karoo 2. I think of all the items here, this was the most difficult decision for me. Hammerhead aren't the market leader in this field. Garmin and Wahoo are, in fact, I'm sure Garmin would be. However, when looking into this, the Hammerhead Karoo 2, first of all, one disadvantage is the weight. This weighs 132 grams, and although that isn't heavy, it is heavy in the cycling computer world, and you can certainly get lighter devices. But for that, you get an excellent, big, bright, I think it's AMOLED or LCD screen, and compared to any other screen in this market, it's the sort of screen, in fact, it's much more smartphone-like. Now, I was out riding recently with someone that had a Wahoo, I think it was a Roam, and in the sunlight that just looked fantastic. But in all lights, this bright screen is just a joy to use. I think it's 3.5 inches, or certainly over 3 inches, a nice big screen. The mapping on it, which is why I got it originally, is absolutely fantastic, and I think it's second to none. The techie element, and this is a tech video, this is updated every 2 weeks, and in the several months, nearly a year that I've owned it, it's really improved. And I love it when you've got a device and you can see it just from a software perspective keep on improving and improving, and certainly Hammerhead seem to have a dedication to improving this device on and on. The couple of disadvantages of it, I think there's two main disadvantages for me. Day-to-day battery life. I'd say, certainly compared to the competitors, they can be anything from 15, 16, 17 hours up to 24 hours, I think, for the longest lasting Garmin's. Anything on an 8-hour plus ride with this device really can give me some concern. Now, very rarely do I do an 8-hour plus ride. If you're looking to do those on a very regular basis, then I think I'd suggest that the Hammerhead might not be for you. But on occasion I have done long rides, and it is something that needs to be considered. The fact that you need to start to consider that, look to turn down screen brightness, can make it a bit of a problematic device for those longer rides. But again, these aren't rides that I do even once a month, probably even once every couple of months, so not really a massive issue day to day. The other thing is, Hammerhead have a specific bespoke bike mounting system that doesn't fit on my bike. Now, they use a Garmin mount as an alternative, which is absolutely fine and works really well, except, and this might be specific to me, but I've had it happen twice now, on the back here, maybe because it's a heavy device, I've had these edges chip on the device. So once that's broken, it doesn't stay securely in the mount. Now, it's interesting, the mount's absolutely fine, but say I've had 2 of these fail on me now. Now, what that meant from a practical perspective, I've now got a large crack in the screen when this device came off my bike at about 30 miles an hour. Now, so the good news is it survived and still works absolutely perfectly. The bad news is I've got this very annoying, very big crack in the screen. It doesn't affect the usability. Yes, if there's something there, it makes it a little bit more difficult to see, but practically it's fine. The one change I've made now is this comes in the box with a strap. Now, I didn't attach this originally to the bike when I had this on. Now, every time this doesn't come off the device, every time I have this on, this would stop that worst case scenario because it wouldn't let the device fly off. But 90% of the time, 90% of the time, I'm very happy with this bike computer and it really works for me. So at number 1, I've got my watch. Now, I've put this at number 1 because if I was only to take any of these items with me and I could only take one out, it would be the watch. Now, this is the Garmin Epix 2. It is a ridiculously expensive sports watch. Costs, well, this particular model, and you can get it cheaper, is nearly £1,000. But it does almost everything that I need. It does. There is some crossover in functionality. I appreciate it between these devices. But one of the things I haven't mentioned here is a wallet. I could pay with my phone, but from a practical perspective, Garmin have something called Garmin Pay. So I've linked, in fact, in the UK, there's only a few banks that support Garmin Pay. I think Santander is the only bank of the major banks that support it. I've opened up a specific bank account, although not with Santander, linked it to this watch, and that's worked really, really well. So whenever I'm out and about on the bike, this is my wallet, really useful in that sense. Now, the practical other thing is this is tracking all of my data, my heart rate data, my GPS data. It's all just in one place. My health metrics, both on and off the bike. So I've got my readiness score, essentially my body battery score before I go on the ride. I can look at my recovery after the ride. In terms of checking on my health data, this is a really, really useful tool. I mean, I can do so much more with it. Talk about the headphones, I can link this to the headphones. I can play music through Spotify with this watch. And I also connect them to the Garmin Rally pedals, and they take all the data from that. So from a practical perspective, all of this works really well together. The watch brings a lot of it together, but if I was just to leave with one device, in fact, I've done this, I think, on more than one occasion, just having my watch. I mean, it's got maps on this as well, so you could navigate just with the watch. It's a very powerful tool. Now, you don't need to spend £1,000 to get most of this functionality. In fact, actually, talking about something that's on the latest versions and isn't on the earlier version, this has a stamina feature. I could talk about this watch all day long, but has a stamina feature that gives you an idea of how much effort and energy you're putting out and how long you'll be able to continue to ride. I was talking before about an 8-hour ride with the Hammerhead. First of all, this will last you about 30 hours. As long as you're not listening to music through it. It will definitely outlast the Hammerhead bike computer. If you want something that'll give you peace of mind in regards to battery, then this is a fantastic watch. Now, going back to that stamina feature, if you're on an 8-hour ride or a very long ride, just keeping an eye on how your body's doing is a really useful tool. So I could talk about all this all day. I'll probably do a separate full-length video on this watch. I've got a couple of videos on this watch on the channel. But importantly, to get most of the features, you can get this for hundreds of pounds as opposed to the nearly £1,000 price I spent on this watch, as much as I do like it. So that's my number one choice. This particular watch for me, but any other quality watch would cover a lot of the functions here, particularly from Garmin. So although that's my top 5 done, I've got 2 bonus items that I want to very quickly discuss. One is this small battery. Now, almost everything here, apart from the pedals, which use a coin-operated battery, needs power somewhere or another. Now, particularly, I mentioned the power issues with the Hammerhead Karoo 2 on longer rides. So I was looking around, and this is a small 5,000 milliamp hour battery from a company called Uksang. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's proved really useful, really small. Stick it in your back pocket. I've attached a USB-C cable here. You could attach any cable for any of these devices. It comes in this little pouch, and on a long ride, on a cafe stop, this will charge anything you want. Say, with the USB-C with these devices, it will charge my phone or the bike computer. And although this isn't an everyday carry item, I'd suggest that if you like your tech and you're going for a longer ride, then having a small battery, this is one that I found works really well for me. I think it only cost about £17, is a really useful addition to that carry. The final item, which isn't really a tech item, but although I said I'd leave the house only with the watch, is my keys. Now, I haven't included them in the main list because they're not really a tech item. I've seen loads of really cool key holders, but just to say, I've got 3 keys just attached to this tiny little ring here. I then attach that to my main key ring. I've seen people in other videos say, oh, it's just a little bit of effort to put your finger in there, move it off, but I found it takes a few seconds, and I need to have my house keys, and just keeping that as lightweight as possible is the way that I do that. So it took me a little while when I was getting into cycling to work out all these best tech bits that work for me, carrying phones that weren't quite right or too heavy, not having the watch that worked that well for me, not having power meter pedals really caused me issues, looking for the best bike computer and certainly headphones that work for me. So hopefully, with that said, if you're new to cycling or really into your tech, or just want to see what other people ride with, this has been a useful video. If you've got any questions with regard to any of the items here, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, I've been Alex. Thanks for watching.